welcome back to Bit by Bit for another coffee break video. Today we're going to be talking about game reviews, sort of how we use game reviews, how they affect maybe what games we purchase or how we play games. And it's pretty relevant, I feel like, to us because we've both written like a lot of game reviews too, so I'm surprised we haven't talked about it yet, but we're going to talk about it today. So I guess just to start out with, Janet, how do you use game reviews, or like, I guess, does that play a factor at all in how you game?
I think it does definitely play a factor because I think there are some games that I've basically decided I'm going to get, but depending on... Yeah, I guess it can sway me if I'm, like, looking forward to something and then, like, a lot of negative reviews are coming out from sources that I trust or people that I trust. So a lot of people will advise, and I agree with this, that one of the best ways to access game reviews is to find writers who have similar playstyles to you or like game tastes, and then you can just kind of follow them as if like they were you, basically. So if I if I have a lot in common with you gaming-wise, and, like, you don't like Life is Strange, then I'll be like, oh, well, if Jess is bad, then it's probably, like, not that good. It wouldn't be that good to me either. Would be an example of that. But, like, and a concrete example of something that happened recently, as far as game reviews, is, all the ukulele reviews came out.
Right.
And they're not very good. They're not very good reviews. And I think,
such a bummer.
Yeah, and by the time this comes out, the game would have already been out, so we'll see what a wider audience thinks of it, but for that one, I was really, really looking forward to that game, and I was definitely going to get it as soon as possible-ish, depending on money, and now that I've, like, heard a lot of negative reviews from people that I, like, trust their gaming taste, basically, I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll probably still get it eventually, because it's probably just, like, the way I view it now is it's most likely just, like, a basic platformer, which is still decent for me, like, I can do that, and that's fine, but it's now fallen, like, way lower on my priority list, which I'm actually, like, in a messed up way, I'm relieved that it's not good, because now I have to buy it. I'm like, okay, I'll just buy it later. So yeah, that's the... So it usually doesn't... I usually don't really look at reviews before I get something, but with... And that's why I'm not too big of a fan, actually, of, like, embargoes lifting, like, review embargoes lifting before the game comes out. I kind of like them the day of. And I feel like that makes more sense to me in some ways, because, like, if I'm really into it and I know I want the game, I probably pre-ordered it, and then I'm kind of screwed either way in the end. Right. And if you're on the fence... You're going to
pre-order probably before the embargo.
Right, and then if you're on the fence, you can just wait to buy it. Like, you probably won't get that day of anyway. Like, a lot of people... Like, it's not... Well, I guess a good amount of people probably do get it day of without a pre-order, but, like... Yeah, so it's weird when there's, like, the reviews are out, like, a week before, because, like... Now, I already, like, kind of heard all the stuff already, and I don't get to kind of experience it myself, as someone that doesn't necessarily get their hands on review copies super often. Like, some I've done it before, which is always really fun to play a game before it comes out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And then the last thing I'll say is I use reviews the most when I am, like, in a video game store, and I am, like, thinking about buying, like, a C level or B level game. Like, I'm like, hey, I have, $10 off a pre-owned game at GameStop. Like, how good or bad is Epic Mickey 2? And I'll, like, bring out, like, my phone, and I'll look up just IGN's video on that, because they give the plus and minus at the end. And based on the plus and minus at the end, I feel like I get a better sense, rather than just straight off the score, of, like, what I like about it and what I don't, especially from a place like IGN, where I think the scores are a little bit more generous, probably because there's, like, the big, they're, like, the big gaming journalism thing, and I think they're, like, a little less harsh numerically, but you'll still get the vibe when you see the plus minus, so.
Yeah.
That's basically how it factors in for me. What about you? Especially with Mass Effect Andromeda, I really want to I want to hear your take on that.
Okay, so, yeah. So I'm just in general, I don't really get into reviews a lot unless I'm not sure if I want to play a game. Like you mentioned, like most people, or if it's a game I've never really heard of before, I might do that. But if it's a game I know I want to play, like Mass Effect, I avoided a lot of details about Mass Effect, which isn't like the best thing to do when you like do stuff that involves like writing about video games, like do stuff with video games, like you're supposed to kind of be on top of it, but I'm like, this is for me, Mass Effect is for me, and I'm not going to ruin it for myself. It's the same way I didn't want to see any of the Pokemon, really, before they came out for the new generation.
Me neither. I like
seeing them in the wild. It's more exciting to me that way. So for me, reviews are kind of like possibly spoilery, and I hate spoilers in every aspect of life. So I just, no, that's not true. If someone's like, hey, you're getting hit by that bus, I want that spoiler. Like, so not every aspect of life, but in the stories that I consume, I don't like spoilers. When it comes to Mass Effect, I avoided a lot of details. I mean, I looked at like vague stuff, like, oh, this is, maybe the kind of combat stuff you can do, or, whatever, but I didn't want to know anything about, like, the main story, really, or, like, oh, well, this happens. I didn't want to know any of that. And I also I feel like one of the reasons why there's been so much, like, people and their feelings about Mass Effect is because so many of them, like, got too into the pre-release hype that then when it came out, they were like, it's not perfect! I'm like, of course it's not perfect. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so I had the, like, Mass Effect hype, because it's Mass Effect. I love Mass Effect, but I didn't really have, like, I guess, a really super strong expectation other than it being a Mass Effect game, and I wanted to see what that would look like, but I didn't have preconceived conceptions of what it would look like. So, and I think part of that is because I didn't read all the reviews and whatever. The one exception is that, because I'm on Twitter, so things come up.
Yeah, Twitter really, it really
ruins everything.
It really brings out a lot of stuff,
Yeah, I had to avoid Twitter after I hadn't watched The Walking Dead in a while, but it's just a dangerous place. But anyway, I was on Twitter, and I noticed someone mentioned something about the facial animations being really bad, and I was like, oh no, and I was like, I'm going to click on this, and I did, and the facial animations were really bad, and for a second I was worried, and I even, like, tweeted something, I was like, no, I'm worried, is this going to be a bad game? What's going to happen, And some people, like, were reassuring me, like, no, I've been playing it for this many hours, it's a lot of fun, blah, 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 like, yeah, the facial animations are a little weird, but you get used to it, and I was like, oh, okay. And it's true, I mean, they don't really bother me that much, partly because I've been playing BioWare games since the era of Star Wars Knights of the Republic, and the graphics on that are really, really bad. And it's not like I only played it in the time graphics are bad. I've played it recently. The graphics are still bad, and I can still play the game. And I know there's a lot of people who have, like, these expectations that, things have to, like, the graphics have to be amazing. We're in 2017, I'm like, let's just calm down. I think that as far as, like, Mass Effect goes, I have a lot of feelings about this, so I'm going to try not to take the whole video on Mass Effect, but as far as Mass Effect goes, I think that some things that went really well for it is that they came around with a patch, like, maybe like a week and a half. How long has it been since it came out? So the patch launched today, and the game came out, like, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And so that's a pretty quick turnaround to have a patch, and from what I've seen, I haven't actually played Mass Effect today, because right now we're filming, I just got home from work, so I haven't played Mass Effect today, but, so I haven't played with the new patch. What I've seen on Twitter, everything looks so much better, and they really did
patch for the, like, eyes and stuff,
so
right?
Much better,
okay,
yeah.
I saw that on Reddit, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, because it was pretty creepy looking sometimes. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of
and I think I mentioned this article before, directly to you, and maybe on the channel even, but there's an article that talks about, like, why video game eyes are so hard to get right.
Well, it makes sense.
And it's just, like, an interesting article. If we remember what that is, we can link it in the description. But yeah,
yeah. So
they're really hard to get right. Yeah.
I think that there's a lot that, like, just my quick little quip on Mass Effect. Like my little quick review of Mass Effect, which is not going to go into anything. It's just a couple sentences. Is that I think that it is highly flawed, and that the writing could be a lot better, particularly in regards to some sensitive stuff that came up on Twitter recently regarding the writing of a trans character in the game. That could have been done a lot better. And I think that there's a lot to work on, but I also think that BioWare, better than most gaming companies, is very good at addressing when their fans are like, hey, what the hell? And they're like, oh, you're right. And then they fix it. Like, even with just to briefly mention for anyone who's not aware of the issue that came up with the writing of a trans character in Mass Effect Andromeda, is that there was a character who, before migrating to Andromeda, I guess was biologically assigned male, I believe. I don't think I've actually encountered this person, so I don't want to mess it up. But I believe it was the biologically assigned male, but identified female. And in the game, they just sort of talk about this really openly with someone they just met, and which is pretty unrealistic in the first place, and also really sort of caught up in a lot of other issues that I can't relate to personally because I'm not trans, but that this clearly was not done well. And one thing that I do like is they're putting in a patch to fix that. I'm like, that's great. Thank you for doing that. At least you address
I heard there's
it,
some
right?
story patches in general, like some narrative patches.
Yeah, so I think it's like, I think a lot of mistakes were made, and that one to me is more upsetting than the eyeball thing or like anything else. I'm like, okay, that one's a little more serious. Can we get on that? But I do think it's nice that they're actively trying to address issues that people have brought up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. So as far as Mass Effect goes, it's a whole different story because I avoided it like the plague because Mass Effect means so much to me. But in general, reviews, I just want to, I'll look up a review if it's a game that I've never played before. Mm-hmm. Or actually, I think I prefer previews more, which I think is different than a review that comes out after the embargo. I think previews and reviews are different.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if they come out around the same time. Because I feel like previews, like if it's titled a preview, it has an understanding that there's an understanding that like the kind of things you'll talk about in a preview versus a review. So I like previews. I'll read previews all day long. Yeah.
What is this? So you said circumstance for review is just if you haven't played it before, and it's like, so usually for older games then for you, or would it be like any game you haven't played before, even if it just came out?
Usually for games that have already been out for a while, and I wasn't aware of them, or I'm not really sure what they're about. Like for example, like Persona 5. Yeah. Recently, I don't really know anything about the Persona series. I keep hearing things about it, but I've never really been into it. So I'll look up reviews of Persona 5 and or I'll just do general research. That's the thing too. Is like when I want to know about a game, I can look it up on Wikipedia. I don't have to look at a review necessarily. Actually, I feel like the most often the times I look at reviews is when I'm trying to write a review.
Okay, that's interesting.
Which seems like
I
but
do
it's
that
not.
too.
Yeah.
Well, you want to
I want to see how they're thinking about things that I'm also thinking about.
For me, I also look at that whenever I do our reviews. I don't write too many. I like writing them fine, and it's good practice to do, but I haven't done a lot of them. I've done maybe a handful of them. I always do see what is the conversation surrounding the game. And I guess for me, when it comes to reviews, I don't read a whole lot of them, even as someone who loves games and does games journalism and follows a bunch of people on Twitter that are games journalists. I'm more interested in think pieces regarding a game or conversations surrounding a game rather than a direct review of the game. Unless unless you said, where I'm trying to figure out if I want to buy it, or what to expect from it a little bit, or if I'm trying to figure out how it holds up as a standalone. So in the Persona 5 case, I'm asking a lot of people, I'm can I just pick this up and play it, or should I not do that? Am I gonna know what's going on? What do I need to know to play it? Things like that. I think the other thing as well, I guess my question is, to what extent do reviews matter, and how do you feel it? Do you feel like reviews end up impacting your game experience whether or not you seek them out or not? So, for instance, for me with Breath of the Wild is an interesting case because all these the 10s dropped everywhere, and literally everyone was the game's perfect, and then it came out and it definitely the game's perfect. So there's that. So it's not it's not perfect, but I know even as I was it helped build up the hype for it. So I guess in what ways do you feel it impacts your gaming experience? Because I know as soon as I turned it on and got started, I'm this is gonna be it. This is the game that ruins all other games for you. And it kind of had this added weight to it. Conversely, I'm trying to think if there's a game that had the opposite effect. Not really, because a lot of times if a review really or several reviews deter me, I end up just not playing that game. My number 9, I'm I think I just won't mess with that.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing though I think that did happen to me a little bit with Mass Effect, was that I saw these a lot of negative reviews prior to, even though I didn't read the reviews, you still see the numbers.
Oh, it was everywhere. Mass Effect was so in your face before it came out.
Yeah, and
I think it really hurt it a lot.
Because then I feel I had to play defensively, first of all, I was well, I don't want to love the game just because I love the series, but also it's not that bad. Why does everyone make such a baby? It's not that bad, as I'm playing. It makes me feel tense when I'm playing my game. I just wanted everyone to be it's amazing, and I go and I'm yes, it is amazing. So I feel it changes my gaming experience as far as the tone of my gaming experience.
Yeah,
I felt very defensive. I felt I don't know. I also felt misled. I was feeling misled going into something. Is it going to be bad? And then I'm no, it's not that bad. It's not perfect. It's not that great. But it's not that bad.
Yeah, Mass Effect was definitely interesting. As I've said here before, I have never played any Mass Effect games, but yeah, it was just like, it was so like, just so in your face. Like, I don't know.
Everyone was like, I hate it. I'm like,
calm
down.
And then it was just crazy, and then all these like sexist people were coming out, and they're just attacking this woman, and like it just got crazy, you know.
We should have had a hold of a video.
So many
like this just.
And yeah, it's just interesting how and I guess for me, I guess one of my takeaway like statements that I want to make about this is once again for me, the reason I really like I don't mind people getting their hands on the game like super early, especially writers. I think that's important and good. Like I think it's best to give them as much time with the game as possible because like they got a lot of other stuff to do, and like, you know, you want to have time to play it and write about it when you're not like trying to just do a turnaround as quick as possible. So I'm fine with that part, but yeah, the reason I don't like reviews coming out like earlier is because I feel like I guess it's a selfish reason. I feel like I can't be part of the conversation yet. Like I can just get information about the conversation, and I'm still like engaging with the ideas, and I like that stuff, and I listen to I listen to a bunch of gaming podcasts, and obviously they like talk about, you know, whatever's happening, and like if an embargo lifts, they'll like, hey, the embargo's up for Mass Effect, so now we can talk about Mass Effect a little bit, you know. So yeah, it's like I literally can't partake in this for like another week because no one else has the game. Only you guys have the game, and you guys are talking about it, and like I can't interact with it, and I think that's why it ends up creating that like tone you're talking about, because like the only thing I have is like what you like. I'm only working with it's like a secondhand account. Like I don't have the primary document, so it's like I'm just, you know, reading this like secondary source, and I'm like, I guess this is it. But it's weird because it's like the primary source comes out in a week, and I'm like, what's happening? Why are we doing it like this? So yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I think actually, when I think about it, I don't mind reviews so much. Actually, I might seek out reviews more often after I've played a game. Yeah. Because I want to see who agrees with me. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I thought, or if I'm like, wow, that was kind of a weird part in a game, and I might go and look, and actually, you know, most recently this happened with not with a game, but with a movie, but I do the same thing with Get Out, because we watched Get Out, and I was like, oh, that was pretty good, and then I started thinking about it, I was like, did I like that? I don't know. And then I'm like, oh, I wonder what this meant, or like who, you know. And so for me, it was a movie for the first time in a long time that I was like, I like didn't know for sure how much I liked it, because you know, for like all sorts of stuff, and I wasn't sure how I liked the twist, or if it was like too crazy of a thing. And so I was reading up on it, and I enjoyed finding that a lot of reviews were like, it was great, it was so much fun. And then there was this one weird part. I'm like, that was my one weird part, and it like it feels nice. So I'll do that with games too. And so I'll go in, and then sometimes I'll really disagree too, and that makes me feel weird. And so I don't know, like for you, do you ever interact with reviews that you read, or like do you comment back, or do you like how do we interact with reviews separate from our gaming experience and more as like a academic?
Yeah, and that's a really good thing to bring up. I love that you brought up the fact that you read reviews after you play a game, because that's probably when, like, it's either when I'm in a store about to make a purchase, I'll look at a review, or after I play a game, especially one that I have like mixed feelings about, or that maybe like a game that I'm intrigued to like have a further conversation on, I guess is more what I'd like to say about it. So like, for instance, like this happened a bunch of times with me recently. So I recently started playing the Uncharted series, which is a mixed bag for me, basically, to put it as brief as possible. So, and I know it like was really acclaimed when it came out, and I get that it came out in a different era, blah blah, and that's kind of why. So, but I was curious as to like, well, what things did they say about, like, what did Uncharted when it came out, what did that look like in terms of the media? So, like, I got to look back at that and see how it was perceived and the comments that were made about it, and then I'm like, oh, it's like, now it's way off, you know, it doesn't age well. Like, the review doesn't age well sometimes.
Right.
And that's interesting to see, too, like, or sometimes they can spot, like, the flaw that you're like, oh, yeah, and, like, this is a thing I noticed. For Night in the Woods, I looked at a lot of reviews and articles on it, because it's a game that the things it does well does really well to me, but overall, it's, like, not an enjoyable game, not something I technically could recommend. I would say if you're interested in it, you're already intrigued by it, and you're down to like drop the money on it, like I would say go for it, because it might be something you end up loving. Like a lot of people love this game. I've read very few negative reviews of this game. Everyone's like, it's so good, and I'm like, no, you're crazy. There's so many things wrong with it. It's so polarizing. And I kind of, maybe it's like okay, I guess I enjoy when reviews disagree with me. That's like my favorite
thing.
Yeah, because for me, especially from a writing standpoint and from like doing this channel, I'm like, oh, this is great, because now I have something to add to the conversation.
Oh.
Because, like, for instance, with Breath of the
Well,
Wild,
that's nice.
I don't, and that's why I haven't, like, I'm not going to do a review of Breath of the Wild, and I wouldn't even do, like, hey, here's what I think of it, because, like, we all know what you think of it. It's great. There's nothing else to say. I mean, there's nothing else to say, so think of something else, like, what's your angle, There's a million 10 out of 10 Breath of the Wild reviews. So, like, what can you say about Breath of the Wild that's different than what's already being said? So, which is why, like, when I did write about Breath of the Wild, I wrote an article for Nerd Much on it. And for me, my, angle, for lack of a better term, was that which is also kind of a popular sentiment, but it was just, like, that I'm basically haven't done, like, almost any of the main quests. Like, I'm supposed to go to these, Divine Beasts. That's, like, the big thing in it. It's basically kind of like dungeons, And I've just been, like, not, like, doing that at all. And I'm just, like, I'm just never gonna, like... I'm like, this game is great. I haven't actually played, like, most of the game, like, the actual main part of the game. And I kind of talked about that a little bit and a few other things in the piece. So I like when I disagree with it because I'm like, you love this, what makes you... I especially also like hearing what people love about something that I hate because I feel like sometimes it has a potential of informing my perspective and I always welcome that. So like I hate Rocket League. I really like to hear from people that like Rocket League so I can try to understand what the value is. That can sound like a little mean, but like I literally don't see value in this. Like what value do you see? Like what am I like missing or not picking up on, or what am I having trouble relating to, or like why am I having trouble relating to it? Like what is it a disconnect for me in terms of genre? Is it a life experience that, like getting to look at all those nuances is really interesting to me. So I love when that happens and I can be the person that says, hey, this thing everyone loves, it's actually garbage, and let me tell you why it's garbage. In a way that is like thought out, refined, and addresses the things that people like about it from reading other stuff. So yeah, but I also definitely, I love, like, picking at that after the fact. I think that's, like, when I have the most fun with reviews.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I feel like that with certain things, although, like, there's some things that come up a lot, just not even necessarily just in reviews, but just, like, gaming opinions that people, like, put on Reddit or whatever else, which are, sorts of reviews.
There's, like, perspectives,
opinions. And opinions on games, and sometimes I don't even know how to I don't know how to respond academically to something necessarily like that I think to be just like ultimate truth. Like I don't know how like for the Dragon Age series, most people are like Dragon Age Origins is the best one. I'm like that's just quantifiably not true. Like it's not good. So I have a hard time with that, and I feel like I can never really write a really good article on it or review on it because I know I'm gonna come off sounding like awful because I'm just so mad about it, and I'll just sound like petty, and I'll be like,
why
everything
you're
you
wrong.
love is stupid. This is why you're wrong. And they're like, why am I reading this? And then they will stop reading it. So I'm never.
No, man, that's where the clicks come from. And one of our most popular videos is unpopular game opinions.
That's true. Yeah,
people like getting angry a little bit, or like I don't know, people enjoy being uncomfortable with stuff, or like trolling or something. Yeah. But I will say to like, because we're kind of on opposite ends of this like spectrum of how do we feel when things are opposite of what our beliefs are. I will say, though, sometimes if something's, like, if I'm, like, completely on the outside, like, if there's a split, that's different. Like, for instance, with ukulele, there's definitely a split, because there are a lot of positive reviews for ukulele, and also some negative reviews, and overall, I think their Metacritic's, like, 63 right now, so it's generally negative, but there's definitely some people that were like, it's great, like, oh my god, it's so good. But, like, I know with Night in the Woods, and I still feel this way a little bit, and I'm like, if you don't like Night in the Woods, like, please holler at me, because there's no one out there, like, I feel like I'm literally the only person that didn't like this game, and it, like, it ends up making you feel crazy, and then you sound like an angry, crazy person. I'm not upset people like the game, but I'm like, I don't understand, like, it's like those, the Twilight Zone episodes, I'm the same, and everyone's different, and I'm like, no, you're the crazy one, I'm the normal one. They're like, well, there's only one of you, and there's, like, a million of us. So I think that is that can be a little uncomfortable when, same thing with Rocket League, I'm like, why does everyone like this? Why don't I like it? Like, and it's almost like, and I think with certain games too, especially when it's hyped like that, you're like, it's like, I don't know, it's almost like you're not allowed to be part of, like, this good time, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm not, like, I don't like it, it's not good. Why do you think it's good? I want to think it's good. I want to play it was free on Xbox Live. I downloaded it. I deleted Rocket League. That's how much I didn't like it. It was a free game. I'm like, I'd rather have the gigabytes. Like, and I didn't even need the gigabytes. I wasn't downloading anything. I'm just like, I just don't need this. This is not anything I'm going to revisit. It's not, like, literally everyone thinks it's good. I don't know why. But yeah, so I think it can create a little bit of craziness a bit. And it's also hard going at things people really feel, like with your Dragon Age thing. Like, it would be hard to, like, convince people of that, which is why sometimes it is hard to write those pieces. Like, I know when I write my Uncharted piece, I have to, like, really, like, break it down and have it all, like, perfect and have all the little, like, counter-arguments in there. Someone's gonna be like, oh, what it did for the thing at the time, and I'm like, it doesn't matter, it's not good anymore, it doesn't hold up, Diddy Kong Racing's also bad, everything you know is a lie.
Yeah, you gotta think of all the counter reactions to your
review. Well, at the time, many thought this is a cinematic masterpiece. It's actually just a shitty 80s movie, with, like, a hot lead and some decent shooting. That's basically it. But yeah, so...
Yeah. It actually has me wanting to write some reviews. So,
I know, yeah, me too.
I'm like, that sounds nice, yeah. So
I guess to quickly close out, where are places you get your reviews from? I guess I'll start with that ending bit. For me, I mainly read a good amount or listen to, because I'm more like auditory or visual and stuff like that. So I do like the IGN ones or like a classic one just because it hits me with that plus minus at the end. That's all I really need. And I'll do like I'll read some of the stuff that like sites I write for post. I'll check out like, this is when count as complete reviews, but like of things that are like, I guess game commentary, I'll like, hit up Waypoint or it's places like that. And then for me, honestly, like just Twitter. Like just Twitter in general. Twitter. Like I follow a lot of like individual game journalists that write for different places. And I'll just see like, hey, what's Heather Alexandra say about this? Or Alexandra, I forgot what her last name is. What is, like, this person say about it? What is, Laura Kate Dale say about, like, this game,
Right.
So, yeah, really just scrolling through Twitter sometimes can just help. But, yeah.
I definitely get a lot of stuff from Twitter, but it's never really intentional. I'm just on Twitter and...
I know, yeah, and then also it's crazy when you see, like 4 people, like, about the same thing at the same time.
Wow, something's happening. There's waves moving across the, the entire, not just the United States, everywhere, Yeah, I think for me, I definitely, but just because I don't normally seek out reviews that often, I don't like main one place for reviews. I definitely read more, I like Killscreen a lot, but that's not usually review based. That's usually where I get I hear about cool new games is Killscreen a lot. And I definitely, well, I feel like I go to Metacritic a lot for reviews just because it's one of the first thing that pops up when you Google search, And I think that's fine, and it's usually pretty alright. And usually when I find a review, actually, I opened up like 2 or 3 different tabs. And honestly...
Oh, yeah, me too, yeah.
I just Google the review, and I pull up the first 2 or 3 that seem relevant to what I'm thinking about review-wise, because normally it's after I played the game. So
yeah.
I'll find myself on a lot of the main ones again, like Kotaku or IGN or whatever, like a lot. And I do listen to podcasts as well, although I still haven't got into Waypoint. But as far as commentary goes and like getting ideas of what I might like to play, I do also listen to Game Blitz, which you told me about. So
yeah, they're good.
Yeah, so that's where I get a lot of my stuff from.
Yeah, I also just hit up Google sometimes, especially if it's a smaller game.
Yeah,
like like Night in the Woods is a good example because Kotaku did a review, and I think maybe IGN did too. But like it was a smaller game that not a lot of people did like traditional reviews on. So I'm like, hey, whose WordPress blog has, like, something on this game? Or, someone on Reddit or whatever. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Thanks for checking this out, guys. Definitely let us know in the comments below how you guys approach reviews. Do they drive your purchasing, like, decisions? Do they affect your, like, gaming when you're playing a game? Are you thinking about that review you just read of it? Do you wait until after? All that stuff. Where do you get your guys' reviews from? And anything else you want to say in terms of stuff we discussed, whether it's Mass Effect, Uncharted, Night in the Woods, any of those games that we brought up. Definitely let us know in the comments below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye.